Good afternoon and welcome everyone into another edition of That's What I Think with Brandon Swanson. I'm your fearless host, Brandon Swanson, and we're finally back on schedule this week. Last 2 weeks we've been off a day. We're finally back on schedule, bringing this to you on Wednesday. Unfortunately, though, this week, the story a bit chilling. As some of you may have heard, last night the news was a mom, Christina Elizabeth Treadway, 34 years old, jumped off of a bridge in North Carolina and killed herself. And cops then went back to her house, backtracked to her house, and found her 2 young children very badly injured. They took them to the hospital where they later passed away and died. And this is a very chilling story. A very chilling story, and a story with still a whole lot to be uncovered and not a lot of answers. A lot of missing pieces right now, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but we'll try and maybe put some things together here. So, a Carolina Panthers stadium employee, Christina Elizabeth Treadway, again, 34 years old, she worked as a ticket taker at Bank of America Stadium in Carolina. Her 2 children, Ilya Miller, 3 years old, and Isaiah Miller, 7 years old. They were transported to the hospital with injuries that the police are not telling us at this time. The police have not come out and said exactly what happened, but that they were fatal injuries. And the father, Antoine Miller, he was out at a game at the time. He was not at home, and his wife, Christina, had texted him and said she loves him and she's sorry, and that she's going to end it all and the kids. Imagine being that father, wherever you are, having no comprehension of what's going on, what she's talking about. She's not making sense. You're going to end it all and the kids. What are you talking about? He's got to be scrambling. The emotions that's going on with him, and they had been together for 10 years. They'd been together for 10 years, so still relatively a young relationship, a young marriage, and things like that. But 10 years, it's a long time to know someone. It's a long time to really feel like you know everything about that person. And this is not something that he really, I don't think, ever saw with Christina. Another thing with Christina, she posted, it seemed like all the time, pictures and videos of her kids laughing and dancing all over social media, saying things about how she wanted to continue on the adventures that her kids had, and she wanted to follow the adventures wherever it took them. What was going on? If there was all this outward happiness, where was the inner darkness coming from? What was happening there? Treadway's mother said, "Our daughter has never shown any signs of being depressed. I want people to know she is a loving mother and would not have done this if she wasn't trapped and so alone." Now, I don't know, by that statement, that's a direct quote. By that statement, is she saying that Christina was, in fact, trapped and alone? Or that the belief would be, because of such a dark act that she committed, that she had to have been trapped and alone? You can read into that, and you never like to read into a comment. We know that by many different things that we can read into. It's better to just take it on the surface, but on that, she's not directly saying one thing or another, so it is one of those where you almost feel like you have to read into it one way or another. Turning back to the father, Antoine Miller, a direct quote from him, "My kids were my everything. I truly don't know how my life will go on." It's terrible. It's terrible for this father. He has set up a GoFundMe page for the funeral costs for his kids, 3 and 7 years old. Combined, their age is 10. They're never going to be able to grow up to be amazing people, live those adventures. That was taken from them. Innocent. 2 innocent children. And of course, I feel terrible for Christina Treadwell as well, because she was clearly troubled. She was clearly troubled. Did she clearly do something just absolutely horrifically wrong. Yes, she did. You feel for people who are that troubled. Maybe you don't. And that is your opinion, and that's your right not to. But it's just a sad, sad day for this entire family who has lost so much in an instant. The family cannot understand what happened, what would have made her do this. Tina Moore, the grandmother, said, quote, "I love Tina to death, but she was just troubled. I don't know what happened because she came and stayed with me over the summer. I don't know what happened. She just lost it." She just lost it. Like it just came on out of thin air. So again, you may say, Brandon, you're speculating. And maybe I am. Symptoms of depression can be many, and they're not always easily recognizable. For anyone who has had depression, for anyone who is currently dealing with depression, or for anyone who knows of people with depression, you know this to be true. You cannot always quickly or clearly pick up on the symptoms. However, here are some of the symptoms. Disinterest being one. School, work, hobbies, things that you loved, things that you loved doing, things that just were always the normal routine that all of a sudden you don't want to do. You lose the feeling for it. You lose the love for it. It's no longer fun. That's certainly a symptom of depression. Sadness, hopelessness, emptiness. Now I can say I've seen it with some of my friends. They post happy videos, they put up happy posts, happy pictures with friends, with family. But those of us who are close to them know that is not the truth. But they want it to look so. If I post happy pictures and happy videos, one, it will make people look at me and not ask me any questions, but maybe I can get happiness from that. Maybe. We've seen it. Many of us have seen this. Maybe many of us do this. Another possible symptom of depression. And of course, mental symptoms. Thoughts of suicide, hurting yourself, hating yourself, things that one should never think about. And then a clear one, loss of appetite, never wanting to eat, never wanting to do anything. Depression is a very serious mental illness, and it can dangerously interfere with a person's life. We've seen it many times. We've seen it many times, whether it was caused by bullying at school that led to depression, whether it was just something that you can't really explain why it happened, but it did. But depression set in. A quote about depression from someone who's had it: "People think depression is sadness, crying, or dressing in all black. But people are wrong. Depression is the constant feeling of being numb. You wake up in the morning just to go back to bed again." It's a strong quote. And it's something that I think we all need to realize, understand, and be better aware of. So I want to reference to a Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why. A controversial series that many looked at as, what's the word? Glorifying depression, glorifying suicide. That's on one side. The other side looked at it as a story of showing how things actually can happen. I watched it. I thought it was an accurate portrayal, and I thought it was powerful. And in the series, one of the main characters, Hannah Baker, was depressed. We had seen what had happened in her life, but she didn't always give off the, for lack of a better term, depressed vibe. If there was unhappiness at times, it could have just been the high school unhappiness, the high school bullying, the high school girls are mean to girls. But it was more than that with Hannah Baker. She had people that loved her. Her parents loved her dearly, but maybe didn't always pay enough attention to her and her feelings. There were good things, good people in her life. However, that still was not enough to change her mind. She believed the world would be better without Hannah Baker in it. And when her mind was made up, she was going to do it. And she was going to commit suicide. According to an October 4th, 2011 stat about mental illness, it says that over a 12-month period in the United States, 27% of adults in the U.S. will experience some sort of mental health disorder. 27%. 1% is too high. 27% is astronomical. So it's out there. Multiple people that you may work with, that you may be friends with, that you don't even know because they put on the face. They wear the mask. How many times do you hear that? People wear the mask. They try and cover it up, whether it be with makeup or something else. They're trying to wear a mask to put on a face of, it's okay, I feel good, when that's nothing how they feel inside. So then that brings us back to the question, is enough being done? The counselor in 13 Reasons Why questions if he did enough, if he asked enough questions, if he asked the right questions when Hannah Baker sat across from him in his seat. Her friends, her family, they all thought the same. Did they do enough? They in their minds clearly didn't think so. What else could they have done? What one instance could have changed it? And I think the answer is simple. None. None. It's simple, but it's sad. And how can we avoid that? How can we avoid that in the future? We can't put blame. We can only try to make every helpline available, every counselor easily accessible, and person, whether it be psychologist, social worker, psychiatrist, easily available for someone to talk to. Lifestyle changes, such as eating healthier, exercising more, can help to defeat depression. Feeling better about yourself. Feeling better about what you're doing in your life. Don't be afraid. You aren't weird. You aren't a loser. You may just need help. And it's okay. Needing help and wanting help is not a sign of weakness. It's not. And if you need it, you deserve to get it. And we want to give you all the help that you need. To tie this back to the situation with Christina Elizabeth Treadwell, what she did was an unspeakable act, taking her own life, but also taking the lives of her two children, ages 3 and 7. Now, the police have not come out and sufficiently said this is what happened. The autopsy, the reports, the investigations, it's all going to take time. Depression is a very real thing. And could it have creeped into Christina's life like that? Yes, it could have. And by reports from some of the family members, she was troubled. And no report says that the husband was abusive, that he was a bad father. The police don't even look at him as a suspect in any of it. So for Christina Treadwell, I hope she's found peace. But for those two young kids who will never fully enjoy life, I feel terribly sorry for them. And for the family, my prayers go out to them on a tragic day and situation that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. You hope that something good comes out of it. And it's hard to sit here and say now what that will be, but one day they may see it. Because God, my God, doesn't create evil. We do. But he creates good. And hopefully, there is good that comes out of this. And hopefully that there is good that comes out of every situation that anyone suffering with depression or mental disorder can see. Hopefully there is good for any of those situations. If you need help, seek it. And if you're willing to help and you're able to help, do it. And that's what I think this week, everybody. Like I said again, if you need help, if you are someone out there who is depressed, who feels just not right, look down here, right below. We have a number to call. We have a spot to go. We've got some links. We want to help. We want to help. We want to help make that pain go away. Because that's first and foremost. No one should be living with that. No one deserves to live with that. So again, right down here, we've got a number, we've got some links. If you are one of those people living with depression, living with those thoughts inside your head that you are not enough, that it's time, that it would be better if you were gone, right here. Go there right now, please. But again, thank you so much for watching today, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'll be back next week, same time, same place, Wednesday, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, and 12 Pacific. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. So long.